Welcome to another episode of the Scoreboard Sports Podcast. We've been calling it the SBS Podcast lately, which I'm kind of liking.
It sounds nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I like it. Scoreboard Sports is kind of a mouthful, but it's fun.
It looks very what's the word in math with no, like a hole? I don't know if "hole's" the right word. It's very it looks very nice. I guess
like
is what
aesthetic.
I'm trying to say. Yeah. SBS, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I like it. The SBSP. It's like the
SBSP.
I feel like it sounds like SPF, like the sunscreen stuff.
Well,
hey, we do it all here on the SBS podcast.
Yes.
Sponsored sunscreen coming out soon, but
banana boat. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. I used not enough of that on my mission. In fact, I don't think I used any, and I served in Arizona, so.
Yeah, that's not good. That's the last
spot. I got sunburned though like 4 or 5 times, so I mean it wasn't too bad. Like
it's a pretty good track record. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll take it. But lots to talk about today. Wild weekend in sports. BYU athletics had a lot going on, and opening weekend of the MLB. We're repping our teams today.
Yep.
Connor's got the jacket and the hat. I just got the polo on. I didn't wear a hat today, and I was like, well, you know what? We'll do an episode without the hat. I did like 17 or 18 hats on the last episode, so I'll give them a break on this one. But yeah, it was a good week for sports.
Yeah, for your team, more favorably than mine, but
that's true.
But then as well, our team's less favorable than others as well. But we'll get into that a little later. But no, great week. A lot more like news instead of highlights, I would say, from I guess the spots that we look into. If that makes sense. But no, I'm excited to get into it. Should be a pretty packed pod.
Real quick though, I wanna show something that just popped up on my ESPN feed. I don't think it'll have any sound because it's playing an ad right now, and I assume you can't hear the ad that's going on.
I cannot.
Okay, perfect. Well, here, let me wait. Okay, the ad's got like 7 seconds left, and then I'll share my screen because it deals with something that we're going to be talking about. So
okay.
Watch out for the hair on Angel Reese.
So there's Angel Reese right there.
I like how she's ducking down, though. You know, she's saying, "Hey, listen,
so
I'm just going to
you'll
help
see
you out."
what it is. There's AJ right there.
This guy can jump.
This is the.
I don't think she has to worry,
dunk
considering
contest
what we've seen from AJ DeBonson. Let's find out.
Dunk contest
Number one
for
player
the
in the class,
All-American.
and our last dunker to start the first round.
Here he goes.
The elevation of AJ DeBonson over Angel Reese.
Let me tell you one judge.
How tall is she?
I don't know, but he got a perfect 50 on that dunk. So I just saw that. I was pulling up the stats for the Bama game.
6'3" is her listed height.
Oh, she's only 6'3". Come on, AJ.
And let's be honest, she's probably more like 1.5 probably.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't jump over a person over 6 foot, so let alone just dunk the ball on the rim. So
yeah,
used to, but far gone now.
I've touched the rim a couple times.
That's about. I can get like the base of the net now, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for real. But speaking about AJ, we'll touch a little bit more on AJ later. But let's start with just kind of Sweet 16. BYU Bama. Like, honestly, I wasn't mad about the game. Like, I wasn't mad about the way BYU played. Alabama just shot lights out. I've never seen a team shoot as good as they did. What was your just kind of like reaction to that? We were both in the Marriott Center at the watch party.
It was very similar. It's opposed to other games, you kind of find reasons to get mad, like to say it got stolen or it was taken out of your hands. This one, it was just there was nothing we could have done, really.
No.
Like, I felt overall we played actually pretty good defense. I felt like we had hands in their shooter's face for more than half of their made shots, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, there was times where our hand was legit like on their nose. Like there was nothing that was stopping Alabama from scoring. The only critique I would have had in their defensive execution, and head coach for Alabama pointed this out, which makes me think why BYU didn't switch up their defensive plan if they knew this is how they ran it, was we like to go under screens instead of over screens. And me and my dad were yelling at each other the entire game, like, go over, not under. That way they don't. And as well, when we would go under the screen, the individual setting the screen would also do a little like shoulder check to push us out even farther, so we couldn't even try and get around and put a hand up. But oh my, that was the biggest thing, other than their absurd like basically half court threes that they took as well. Like there's like 5 that were deep logo threes that just boom went in without a question. But that was the one thing that just drove me absolutely insane.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm looking at the stats right now. Like, if I would have told you before the game that we score 88 points, Richie Saunders has 25 of those 88, Yegor has 7 assists and only 1 turnover. I mean, would you have taken that? Like, what would you have thought, like, would have happened with that game?
You just tell me, hey, BYU just scored 88 last night. Richie went off for almost 30. Like, no way. Like, how much did we beat them? Oh, no, we lost by 30, actually.
Yeah.
What? What are you talking about? Like, I want to know the history of teams that have scored almost 90 points in a college basketball game and lost.
Yeah.
Not just lost, but then lost by 30. Almost 30. I think it was 25 points, but that was the most absurd thing. I think Patrick Kinahan tweeted is like, BYU is going to drop 90 points in this basketball game in the Sweet 16, and they're not going to even win the game. It's like, what could have been? Like, and the other insane stat that had been floating around in that game, which I'm sure you saw, I'm sure half the country saw, was Alabama didn't even need to make a single 2-point shot, and they would have won that game still. Like,
and I didn't recognize that until a couple days ago. I was hanging out with buddies, and they told me that, and I was like, holy cow, I did not know that.
Now, it was a little misleading because first you just think, oh, they only the threes, but they're also incorporating the free throws, which makes it a little better, because me and my brother did the math right when we saw they're like, they're lying. We would have beaten them, but no, they also made like 21 free throws or something like that. But that game was nothing I'd ever seen. There was no team on that court that would have beaten Alabama that night.
No.
Like, you put Auburn, you put any of the 1 seeds, Duke, well, they ultimately lost to Duke, but Duke that night wouldn't have even beaten them. No team was beating them.
I think that was the best like game of basketball that a team has played. Like, defensively, they were not great because we outscored them in the paint. Like, we outscored them 50-16 in the paint. It's like their down low defense wasn't great, but they didn't really need it, right? Because they were saying, you know, we'll give you your 2-pointers. We're shooting 49% from 3 in this game, where you're only shooting 20%. So, you know, go at it, right? We'll give you the paint. And Mark Sears going off for freaking 34, hitting 8 threes. The team itself goes 25 for 51. We only shot 5 more threes than they made.
It's insane.
Like, we shot 30 and they made 25.
Which also kind of, well, no, that's not even true. I was going to say that kind of goes to show what our game plan was going in, but we made 1 3 in the first half.
Yeah.
We were only down by 11 as well, and at that point they had already made almost more than half their threes, I think, by half, and we were still well within the game. And in fact, in the second half, we made a push, which this is the one part of the game where I felt like the refs might have wanted to make their mark on the game, was when... What,
Tony Padilla? Ref wanted to make his mark on the game? What?
How dare... Where Nell hits a corner 3 right off, and...
that was so stupid.
I don't know what he said. I don't know if there's a video of like someone breaking down his wordplay, like his mouth.
He's got a dirty mouth.
Dirty. He's a dirty guy.
Yeah.
I feel like as just a ref, and I've ref sports before. I don't know if you have. I'm sure you have. Just taking into account the situation that you're in the Sweet 16. The winner of this game goes to the Elite Eight at the chance for the Final Four. Like the Sweet 16, I think, out of all the rounds besides the Final Four and the championship game itself, I think is probably the most important round. I mean, once you get to the Sweet 16, I feel like that kind of builds up momentum going into the Elite Eight for most teams, at least.
Yeah.
And then when the Final Four comes, I feel like that's kind of where the pressure comes because, oh, shoot, trip to the national championships on the line. That's just my opinion. But you're you're reffing a Sweet 16 game, and you're going to call tech on a player just hit a corner three. His team desperately needed it to swing the momentum. You're going to call T for him saying, like, you can't guard me or, like, respect me, which, ironically, Mark Sears said the exact same thing in the first half twice.
My guess is there was a little bit more than just some, like, friendly jawing. Like, it seems like Trevor, like...
I feel like he's had a couple of those in the regular season, so when it was called, I'm like, gosh dang it, like, are you serious you're going to call it? But at the same time, like, I don't know what Trevin said. I'm sure it probably wasn't, it was a little more than just guard me or you can't guard me. But at the same time, in the very next play, though, is also bugged me. Well, here's the thing. Everyone's be like, well, his foot was in the restricted area. He went straight up. Come on. In the time of the call, when they called a blocking foul on Yegor, I think it was, right? I mean, that's a 5-point swing because they got 2 free throws for the technical, made them both, got the ball back, went down and won. Like, that's a 5-point swing off of a 3-pointer that we desperately needed to cut it down to single digits. Like, I feel like that sequence of calls, even though it was earlier on in the half, was so crucial. Like, that just killed us because I felt like we had the moment. We had a little bit of momentum going, but
yeah, it's those ones are tough, and it's like you said, the momentum stuff. Like Kevin Young talks about stacking days, right? Like we were trying to stack minutes in that game, and they just weren't stacking; they were just kind of falling apart. I was doing some studying today, just about like stacking days, more of like a religious perspective, but I made a little drawing of just like almost like Jenga blocks, right? Where it's like if you've got only one on there, like it's not as stable, right? So it's like you know those minutes that you're stacking, right? You can't just like say, okay, we had an all right minute, an all right minute, right? You got to stack good minutes, or else that base is going to completely fall as you're looking to stack, and you got to restart that stack all over again. I feel like that stack just never really got built up past that like 5-minute or past that like 15-minute mark in the first half, and it all just kind of fell apart and crumbled right then.
Yeah, you said, well, like, who knows if BYU, even if those calls weren't made, if BYU would have been able to maintain the momentum or, stack on minutes, I guess, to build on that foundation that they're starting to build in the second half, if they were going to be able to, which it didn't seem like they switched up their defensive game plan all that much. I mean, they still who was the player? He only made threes. I think Aiden Sherrill. I think all he made was threes. Like, no, it wasn't him. I think it was Youngblood actually. No, it wasn't Chris Youngblood. Who was it?
So, LeBaron.
Aiden Holiday. It was Aiden Holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Sears, 34 points, 10 threes. You take him out of it, Aiden Holloway coming off the bench, hitting 6 threes, and one other was 7 field goals, 6 of them were threes for 23 points. That would have been the storyline if it wasn't for
Especially
Mark Sears.
Exactly,
that's what I'm saying. And I don't know what Mark Sears, like, what kind of deal he made with the basketball devil, or like what he drank the night before, but he had like 3 threes or 5 threes in the last like 5 games or 3 games or something like that, and then to go out and just hit 10, like, that is insane.
Yeah, like I'm looking at it. So between Sears and Holloway, they shot a total of 32 shots, and of those 32, 29 of them were threes.
It's insane. How many threes did they even attempt
So they
in their
attempted
game
51.
against Duke?
Oh,
They
in their
attempted
game against-
51 in Duke, though, at Duke, which me and my grandpa after the game we were talking about, they're going to come out. We were like, they're going to come out and just like not be able to hit the broadside of a barn, which, I mean,
You want to know how many points Mark Sears
Kind
had
of.
against Duke?
wasn't it
6.
like 2? 6.
Six.
Yeah. Like,
So they only attempted 32. So they went from 25 of 51 to 8 of 32.
I think it is so funny. My brother, I kind of see why he said this, but it always seems like the breakout stars, like the star players for each team, whether it's in football or basketball, they're having a quiet season or a quiet last couple of games, but then when BYU is on their next game, they just go off. Like Ollie Gordon, the last 2 seasons against BYU sits freaking like rushing records. Mark Sears, he's having a slump, like freaking like 3-4 game slump, comes out and just bangs almost 40 against BYU. Like, what? Why do we allow this to happen to us?
Yeah, it's rough, but I mean, I think overall, like, I'm happy with how the season went. Like, I don't think, like I said in the podcast right before, right, I wasn't expecting us to win. You know, I wasn't expecting us to lose by this much. But, you know, I think, like, with how we played in that game, like, I think that's kind of how I expected it to go, right? Like, I was expecting, you know, like, 94 to 88. Like, I think I actually guessed the points right for
BYU.
Yeah. But, you know, I wasn't expecting Alabama to go and hit 25 threes, right? I knew they were good at that. I knew it was going to be a very high-scoring game, but they just went off, and BYU, frankly, couldn't stop them at all.
It's kind of ironic because I think I did some sort of double down, like, contradiction of myself. I think last episode I'm like, oh, BYU's 100% going to win this game. Like, I have full confidence. And then probably like 5 minutes later, I think I said, oh, I'm not going to say that because I believe in jinx. Well, I think I jinxed. So I'll take this loss, guys. I think I jinxed BYU in the Sweet 16 because I think I said it was either going to be a close game or a blowout by BYU. Well, it was not a close game and it was not a blowout by BYU. It was, in fact, the opposite of that. In a way, like, points wise, it was a blowout, like in terms of the spread, but I don't know. It's like that was the first game in my life, I think, where I've come away seeing a loss in a crucial time where I'm just like, huh, what's for dinner? Like, like I just moved on right away. Like,
yeah, and it wasn't like it was like a move on, just like, oh crap, like that's done. So like I'm not even going to try and focus on it. It's like I think I was happy. I think Cougar Nation was happy with how the team played, and it just like everyone was just awestruck by how Alabama played. That it just kind of just left us speechless, and it's like, well, I can't really complain much about that. I was watching the interview that Spencer Linton did with Yegor afterwards, and Yegor, you know, very teary, very emotional in that interview. But he just talked about how, like, you know, Alabama, they hit shots, right? And I loved seeing Yegor's reaction to that game, just because, like, you can tell that, like, he loves BYU. And, like, it's become a family for him here, right? He was sad that he was never going to get a play game with Trevin, Trey, with Mag, and Foose again. But, you know, I think this is my reaction coming out of the game is I think that gives Yegor such a higher chance of staying. While I think the chance is still small, I think he doesn't want to end in a game like that, right? Like, I mean, he played great, the team played great, but just like, if you're going to go out on something like that's a tough game to go out on.
Yeah. I feel like my takes from Yegor's comments, one, that the possibility of him coming back elevated, especially when the comment of, you know, AJ's a guy that makes me want to come back, like, and play with him. I feel like his attitude is, I want to make a mark on BYU history. Like, I want to leave I love this school. I want to do as much as I can for it to repay it. Because it almost feels like he's thanking BYU for, like, not necessarily giving him the shot because he was a lottery pick before he even came to BYU. Like, he was projected to go in last year's draft, or expected to, but he chose not to. But almost a sense of, like, he's, like, maybe found himself at BYU, and, like, he has a sense of, like, I want to I possibly want to see my name up in the rafters next to Ainge, next to Kosic, next to Fredette, and I think there's a policy where they have to be graduated like 15 years after, and then they can.
I think so. So
I think he's come. I think Fredette's coming up. Yeah, got to be at that game. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
That would be electric. I want to see my number and name next to Fredette. Like, I think what the color comment. I don't remember which guy it was on the broadcast for the BYU Alabama game, but he said, if I'm Yegor, I'm talking with KY. I'm talking with his connections in the league, getting a grasp on where they view me and where I might land in the draft. And if I'm not like 15th or higher, I'm coming back because I can make a whole lot more money in college, especially now with this run in the Sweet 16 and with AJ coming back. All the eyes are turned towards BYU. The NIL money is only getting larger. That bank is growing. So I'm going to make more money at BYU than I will as a rookie in the NBA as like the 16th, 17th pick.
Yeah. If he's not a lottery pick, I don't think he'll go to the NBA, right? He's going to the NBA to be a lottery pick, right? And so if I think, and this kind of leads us into our next topic as well, but like I think, AJ coming in, right? Like he's going to be, number one. He's going to be a top 3 pick, right?
Yeah.
If Yegor stays, right, Yegor is most likely going to be a top 15 pick because there'll be even more scouts at those games, and there'll be less pressure on Yegor because they know that they're going to get the ball at catchings. And I was watching Sports Nation today, and Sean Farnham was talking about how, like, a lot of these turnovers. Not everything comes from Yegor. Yegor's vision is so good that some of the teammates just weren't ready and weren't expecting the pass then, right? Like, it would have been a great pass.
No, there's plenty where it would hit someone in the chest or, like, hit Keita in his in his fingers and just bounce right off.
Like, Yegor's, like, those guys aren't used to playing with someone whose vision is that good. And so I think if Yegor stays, I do think Dallin Hall leaves. I don't think you get both of them back. I think you get one or the other. But, Cannon Catchings is going to be gone now, which, I'm all right with. Honestly,
this is interesting, though, is when, Crawford, that might be a little sour, a little tougher to swallow. Mm-hmm. The Catchings entering the transfer portal, that was very interesting to me in the sense of when it was announced, underlined was, like, do not contact. Like, don't reach out, which, what does that mean exactly? So, I'm trying to figure out, like, I want to enter the transfer portal, but you can't talk to me. I'm going to talk to you. Like,
he's a red dot in area book.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
But, do not reach out.
Story for another time. But I was talking with my roommate Carson, and he was telling me, because I didn't even hear that. I actually deleted my Twitter account because I was like, all right, screw this. Like, I'm getting way too involved into this. So, like, I'm going to go off Twitter for a bit. But so he told me about that, and I think he's looking to go back to Purdue. Like, that's where he had originally committed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you hit it right on the head where it's, no teams are going to be reaching out to him. Like, he's going to be the ones, he either already has a team that he's just now negotiating a deal with, or he's got, a couple teams that have already reached out, and he's like, I don't want any other looks. Like, I'm happy with these teams that I have right here. And from the sounds of it, it's looking like it'll be Purdue, where it's interesting because he'll probably play a pretty similar role here, because I don't think he starts at Purdue.
Oh.
But Purdue known for, like, their guys play all 4 years. So I wonder if Catching says, I feel like I can progress better with Purdue than I can here at BYU. And I don't think he fit the system great here. Like, his defense wasn't great, and so because of that kept him out of games. But I don't know. That's my thoughts. Like, I think it was kind of time for Catchings to move on. Like, I loved him as a player, right? I just think, like, the fit wasn't great for him.
We kind of texted about it a little bit. Like, I felt like he was very streaky as a player. Yeah. I don't know, and quite honestly, it didn't really seem like I wouldn't say he didn't want to be here necessarily, but it was almost once he started getting hurt and his role started to slip away, I feel like he got probably frustrated with that and maybe saw it as they don't see the value in me instead of, hey, I was hurt. I'm still recovering, even getting into the tournament. My job has been replaced by Mag, who I think rightfully deserved to take that spot. But I feel like that was kind of maybe the immature, him being 18 years old, whereas like, hey, you kind of got to learn how this goes.
And I think with... sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
I was going to say,
touch on this later.
I think with catchings, like, me and my buddies went to the plane a couple of times for when the team came back, and so we welcomed the team back late at night. And catchings, he just didn't seem like as into it as the other players. And I think a lot of that comes from his personality. Like, he's kind of quiet. He doesn't really speak up a whole lot from just like, I don't know, I obviously don't know him, right? But he doesn't seem like a very outspoken guy, right? You see him on the bench before games, and he's sitting there, he's got his headphones on, and he's on his phone. And so he seems like a guy who kind of keeps to himself. And I feel like at a place like BYU, that's really hard to do. Like, you can't really be a super private individual at BYU because of like how outgoing people are here. And so I think he just struggled a little bit with that. I mean, his Deep Blue that BYU TV produced, obviously talked about how, he, in high school, like, he didn't make the varsity team his freshman year, so he had to work hard to get that. But I think this was another, like, level of work that he wasn't used to yet, and so it's going to take him some time to adjust. And I think after that Baylor game, he was hoping he would see more, but I think things just kind of... the stars didn't really align for catchings here.
No.
Like, I think it was a good first year for him, right? Like, I was happy with how he performed. He won us that Baylor game. That was the best game anyone played all year, like, individual-wise. Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot of thoughts on catchings. Yeah. But
he had a great performance against Arizona.
Yeah.
But there's two things. One, the interview with him after the Sweet 16 loss, that once I saw that, right away I was like, okay, he's gone. Like, he's lost. Because the tone that he talked and the answers he gave were just so disconnected. Like, he could care less about who was talking to him. Whereas you look at
shout out to my buddy Sam doing the interview.
Shout out. You look at Yegor. He's crying. He's so emotional. Yeah. Like, he did not want this to end. He had this team. He almost seems like this team had expectations that were not fulfilled. Obviously, I'm sure their goal was to win a national championship or at least make a Final Four. And they probably felt like they were that close, and this game just slipped away from them in a way that they could not have imagined. But you look at Catching's interview, and it's like, how are you feeling after the game? I'm fine.
Yeah.
Are you like, what are you looking forward to next year? Are you still kind of digesting this loss? I'm still focused on the loss. Like, it was just like 1 word, 2 word answers. Like, it's like he could care less or not give the time of day to the reporter, like your buddy. It's like, if you're gonna transfer, like, that's fine, but at least show a little interest and little like that you're committed to this team in a way that you're not just already checked out, like, and like screw. Like, I almost felt like disrespected in a way.
Yeah. And I think Catching, like, he doesn't, like, even his interviews, like, when he won, like, his responses weren't super long. But yeah, like, I didn't get to see a whole lot of the interview. I don't know if I've watched the interview, but I've, like, read his responses to it. It's like, I hear you there and kind of agree where it's like, all right, you got to give us a little bit more. Like, you can't just get checked out.
Like, Jaeger, whose third language is English, is giving more detailed emotional responses than the kid from Indiana. Like... But the other part I was going to mention was, and I don't think this ultimately had any implication on him deciding whether or not to stay, because I think he was checked out already. He was probably checked out when they lost to Houston in the conference playoffs.
Yeah.
But with Dominique Diomande, is that how you say his name? I mean, he quite possibly could be more... I think he's already more athletic than Cannon. They play the same position. I think he might be a little smaller in size.
I think he's 6'7". Cannon was 6'9".
Yeah,
Cannon was a bit of a twig, though. Like, I would have liked to see Cannon put on a little bit more weight.
It's funny. Like, you just look at him, you don't think he's that tall, but then when he's standing next to Keita and Yegor, it's like, oh, wow, he's actually got size. But I wonder if that transfer portal, like, addition was probably just, like, the icing on the cake and like the
'Cause
confirmation.
I think Cannon left before that. Like I think that
Did
was
he?
after.
It might have been like the next day then that was announced.
Yeah.
Then, but I'm sure the buzz is going around in the locker room. It might even happen like during the tournament probably, where this buzz is going around. Like, oh, did you hear we're getting this like forward from Washington? He's transferring like for next season, and which I'm assuming that's how this whole world works. I'm sure these guys hear about these players that want to come in. I'm sure they even talk to players on the course before games, like, hey, like try and recruit in a way. But that was interesting to me. Catching that whole thing is gonna be. I'm excited to see like how he performs going forward, in a sense. But that whole relationship with us and how it went out was very, very interesting. Very weird.
Yeah. Like, I'm not mad at it, but I hear that. Like, I think weird is a great word to use right there.
Yeah.
Before we get to the Dominique Diamande, we talked a little bit before, just to kind of touch on Elijah Crawford transferring real fast. I would have liked to see him progress a lot more. KY loved his effort in a lot of games. He was kind of like that guy that, like, you know, hey, we're going to get you those minutes in the end of games and those blowouts, right? You weren't seeing Max Triplett and Townsend Triple get in, right? You were seeing Elijah Crawford, right? And so I'm gonna miss seeing Elijah Crawford. I hope, you know, things turn out well for him. I liked him, but yeah, kind of tough to see him go.
That now that just thinking about it, it makes me wonder if one of two options probably. If they have a more high profile veteran point guard coming in from the transfer portal, or if Jaeger is coming back, because I don't think Crawford stays, or I think Crawford stays if either one, Jaeger's gone, two, there's not really, I mean, transfer portal guys isn't a huge deal, especially if they're kind of in the same level. I mean, once they come in, they're at the bottom and they got to earn their way. At least that's what I would assume. But either one, he stays either if Jaeger goes to the draft or if Hall leaves, I think. And I feel like that's the way he stays. With him leaving, that question, that kind of puts a asterisk, or it zooms in the situation on Jaeger, I think, primarily on if he's already made a decision, he's made that clear or not. But the next person I'm expecting to leave, honestly, is Brody Kozlowski.
So.
I feel like he's probably the next big recruit, I guess, that came into BYU. So I wouldn't be surprised. I hope not, but...
Yeah, I mean, he was hurt for a lot of the year. I think he might have ended up redshirting, actually, this year.
That's good.
And then, like, his mom works here. Like, his mom does stuff for BYU TV. And so, like, there's a lot of family ties at BYU for him. But, yeah, like, I see where you're coming from with that, especially with a guy like Diamande coming in, reportedly. Like, I was reading this article on him. Like, so I guess, transfer to Washington from France. His international credits didn't transfer, so he had to take some online classes to be eligible, and he didn't end up getting there until like mid-January. And so like the coach was like, "Hey, redshirt a year." But apparently, before signing with Washington, like he was projected to be a second-round draft pick in a lot of the NBA mock drafts.
Wow.
So I'm excited for this guy. 16 points, 6 rebounds a game. 2 assists. 3-point shooting's not incredible. He shot 30%. But they say he's a great passer, rebounder, can finish around the rim, and can get to the basket whenever he wants. So.
And before we move on to another topic, the last thing I want to say in regards to like the whole transferring and stuff, I was talking to my brother about this, and I won't say he's like up in arms or like upset with the transfers and with Catchings and now Crawford leaving. I told him, like, hey, last year we lost our coach. He took with him our best player since Tyler Haws, maybe, and Jackson Robinson. We almost lost Richie Saunders. We almost lost Down Hall. Like, we almost lost our core. We lost part of it. We lost our head coach. I mean, after getting into the tournament, like, we were riding on a high, and then all of a sudden the plane just came crashing down. And then in the matter of I don't know the exact time period, but in the matter of less than a month, probably, I think, or at least a month, we get an NBA assistant as our head coach, and he brings in two draft potential lottery picks. I mean, one now is leaving, but I mean, when the worst comes, for some reason BYU flips it and turns it into the best. So I would not be surprised if we have like an outstanding transfer portal window. Like we just bring in great guys. Like we've already got great signings, but no, I'm not worried. I think it's going to work out better in our favor, especially with our success in the tournament. Players are going to want to come here. But
yeah, I'm with you on that, and it leads me like, I mean, I don't know. There's stuff on AJ that we could talk about, but I feel like maybe we can cover that in the next podcast, like after the game is over. But AJ in the McDonald's All-American game tomorrow, first Cougar commit since Gardner Meads in 2000 to go. So I mean, pretty big news, right? Like I'm not super into high school, so I don't know a whole lot about that. Other than that, right there. Like I don't know. Do you have any thoughts? Like anything to expand on with that?
I'd seen some of the practices, just some clips, and for everyone that doesn't really know about the All-American game, these are all the top prospects in high school. Like these are all 4- or 5-star recruits. And in these practice videos, AJ is just ripping them to shreds. Like he's just picking them apart. So at first, when I heard AJ was coming, I had I don't know if it'd be like a stereotypical BYU thought of he's going to get to BYU and just flop. But after seeing those videos surface and just watch some of his highlights in high school, I mean, he is for sure the real deal. And I think I might actually watch the McDonald's All-American game for the first time in my life tomorrow. So I think that says a lot about AJ. So
yeah. I agree. I'm excited for it. It'll be good. But we were talking about like good things coming out of adversity for BYU, and we'll stay with like college basketball. I don't know how much you've watched and paid attention to the women's team here at BYU. For my high school, I was a team manager for the girls basketball team. That's where I got into like all my announcing and stuff. So I've always followed the sport a little more closely than like the average fan, I would say. I've got a friend on the team, so it's like I've got like a couple interests there. But they just hired new head coach Lee Cummard today. He was the interim head coach, really who I was hoping they'd get. But watching his press conference today, like he bleeds BYU blue. Like he's like, these last couple of coaches that we've had here, like none of them have played at BYU. Like I have, and that I'm hoping that's part of the difference. He's like, We're going to bring a product to the court where fans are going to want to come and see it. We're going to shoot a lot of threes. We're going to play scrappy, right? We're going to go for those loose balls, right? From the sounds of it, Delaney Gibbs happy with the hire, so I think she might be staying, which I was worried about when Amber Whiting left, right? But after having a pretty terrible season, like as far as BYU standards, I'm really excited to see what Coach Cummard can do with the Lady Cougs.
no, it's great. I think it's a smart hire. I feel like in the buzz around, I touched on this subject, I guess is the lack of a better term, that their initial thought of a head coach was Molly Miller, I think.
I heard about that, yeah.
Out of Grand Canyon, who she just signed with Arizona State to become the next Lady Sun Devils head coach. So if that was their first pick, I think this is a great pivot step to hire within the coaching staff, within the line, I guess, because like you said, he played at BYU, he knows BYU. He's been on the coaching staff for I don't know how long.
Yeah,
he's been there for a while.
Since Pope got there, because he was a graduate assistant with Dave Rose, and then when Dave Rose retired and Pope came in, he went and started coaching with the women's team.
Yeah, so he's been there for a good while, and so I think that's good for what's the word I'm looking for? Culture within the team, and like you said, I think that helps with Delaney Gibbs staying. I was worried because I think you mentioned, I didn't know about this until you mentioned it, but she's dating Yegor, right? Mm-hmm. So, And I wonder if this plays a factor into whether she stays or not, regardless.
Yeah.
I hope she stays no matter, like, not taking into account the new head coach. But if Jaeger stays, maybe she stays. I don't know.
Yeah,
and if Jaeger goes, maybe she stays. I don't know. And not leave, but...
I mean, I think this definitely, comes into play now. The more that I think about it, is, Lee Cummard being hired as the head coach of the women's team and Delaney Gibb wanting to stay because of that. Could the head coach of the women's team being hired, them choosing Lee Cummard, have an impact on whether Jaeger stays or not, right? Because who knows if Delaney would have transferred, right? The more I hear things, I don't think she would have. But, who knows, right? If they had hired someone outside the program and she's like, well, I don't want to play for her, I'm going to go play at, I don't know, some big school. I'm going to go play at LSU, right? 'Cause she could totally play.
Oh, yeah.
A school like that.
I mean, you saw, what was her name? Who transferred to Texas?
Shaylee Gonzalez?
Shaylee Gonzalez, yeah.
Yeah.
She was an outstanding player for BYU. She could have played anywhere she wanted, which ultimately she did. But that just goes to show that Delaney Gibb, I think, is at the level of Shaylee Gonzalez, if not better. And she can 100% go wherever she wants to. And so, who knows? Maybe Lee Cummard being hired helps Jaeger stay. I'll say, I'm not going to say if he stays, that's the reason, but I think there is, a very, very small factor, that comes from that, right? Because obviously he's in a relationship with Delaney. There's a great interview that BYU Sports Nation did with Travis Hansen, who's kind of mentored Jaeger. He played in Russia with Jaeger's dad, actually, professionally. So that's a really great interview that goes a lot into Jaeger's thoughts on BYU and how much he loved BYU, and they talk a little bit about Jaeger and Delaney's relationship. But yeah, I just think, it keeps coming back to just the culture here at BYU. It's such a unique place. You'll find nowhere else in the world like BYU. No, you won't.
And I was talking with someone about it the other day. It's do you think people coming here to BYU because of the way the school is, with honor code and all that stuff, do you think it hurts them? And for a long time, I used to think, well, yeah, no one wants to come in and live that. But the more I hear, AJ's well, I don't want to, party. I don't want the focus to be on that, right? I just want to, play basketball, take my finance classes so I know how to manage my money, and get out of here.
I think his quote was, I'm coming here to focus on ball. I think that was his quote. They're all about ball. There's no distractions.
And so, yeah, I think it's really good. I'm excited. Men's and women's teams moving up projection-wise, so it's a fun time to be a Cougar on the hardwood.
For real. Look at us. Tune into Scoreboard Sports where we break down BYU conspiracy theories.
Heck yeah.
As far as
Cummard means Jaeger staying. Let's go.
We branched this to get we're the Sunny in Philadelphia conspiracy theory board.
Yeah. I like it. Gotta pull out my pins.
Yes. Get the yarn. We have the picture of Lee Cummard connected to Delaney Gibb, which is connected to Jaeger, which also has a branch off to Cannon Catchings because we don't know what his deal was and where it's going, which also has a branch over to Purdue, which has an ideal slight yarn to Kentucky, which thank goodness they lost in the Sweet 16 because I think I would have jumped out of my bedroom window right here if they made the Elite Eight, but...
And then it goes back to Purdue and Matt Harms, who transferred from Purdue to BYU.
Yes, goes to BYU, circle. Which makes you think, oh, maybe Catchings is just waiting for KY to reach out, even though he doesn't want them to reach out. Yeah.
I like it. The SBS,
we're breaking it down.
It's conspiracy stuff. I like it. This is not a conspiracy, but BYU baseball and West Virginia baseball combined for 80 runs over a 3-game series this past weekend. I don't know if I've ever seen that many runs scored. The game score was 15-6, 20-4, and 19-16. And so it was an onslaught of runs, and not a whole lot of homers either.
I saw the report from the second game where it was what you said 20-4 or something like that for West Virginia. I'm like, oh my gosh, we just got slaughtered, and then. I saw Greg tweet, "Oh, the Cougs just went on since the 7th inning of last game to like the 5th inning today, like they've scored 15 straight runs. I'm like, oh, let's go! Like that's sweet. Not too sweet because for some reason West Virginia's just built like that and
West Virginia's good.
Can build on top of a 20-run night to go on to an 18 or 19-run night. Like that's insane. I didn't know West Virginia was that good at baseball.
I think they were projected to finish 4th in the conference. We were projected to finish last. So,
I saw that, but
I'll take it. I got this foul ball at the game.
Okay.
Got the Big 12 logo on it, which I thought was cool. I just kind of camped outside the stadium and waited for a ball to get hit into the road, and then just went and got it. So
I like it.
I'm like, okay, well, any game I go to, like I could get a foul ball just by standing out there. So that's fine. I'm gonna hopefully gain like a little collection of Big 12 baseballs.
I like it. From all my MLB games, I've yet to catch a ball. Which
really,
I don't think it's that surprising. I mean, most of the games I've sat in the outfield, so if I'm going to catch a ball, I'm either going to catch a home run, ground rule double, or just a freaking toss ball from the outfielders. But I have not caught a ball.
I've gotten 3. There was one game, it was a minor league game. I got 2 foul balls in the same game, actually, which was kind of wild. But I've gone to 3 major league games where I've got balls. One I caught on the fly. It was a batting practice home run from the Yankees. So that was kind of cool.
That was cool.
But the other ones, I was with my little brother. He was 9 at the time. And we went to a Padres-Phillies game. I don't know why this is like cutting off my hair.
I'm like, why is it like trying to blend you in? Like,
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. But I'll just turn this off. Yeah, that's really weird. Okay, that didn't turn off. But what I was saying, there's my...
There you go.
Put the BYU flag
Let's go.
yesterday. But my brother was there with my little brother, so we kind of stood by the Phillies bullpen during the game and learned the name of their catching coach, or like their bullpen catcher, and so he threw us a ball, and then we learned the name of some no-name in the Angels bullpen, and after the game was over, we went up to him like, hey, can we get a ball? And we called out his name, and so he gave us one. So those are my 3 balls I've got from games.
That's sweet.
Majors. So none like that were in play, but
yeah,
still kind of cool.
I remember a friend and I, we drove down to Baltimore. We went to Camden. We went to the Orioles, which that stadium's sick. That is one of the top stadiums I've been to. That's super cool. We were on the first row, I think, in the outfield, center field, which, first off, they've made changes to Camden Yards, like the field. Like, the left field wall is like 30 feet deeper now, I think, or something like outrageous like that, to where no one can, like, hardly any players can hit home runs over to left field now, which is one I think is insane and makes me wonder why they did that, if it was strategic like that.
All the fields are different sizes and all that.
Well, it's legit, like, right field to center is just, like, perfectly straight, and then you get to left field and it's just, like, just a box. Anyway, we were there, and we had these drunk guys in the back chirp into one of the bullpen catchers, and he throws a ball. It bounces into my hands, and I'm thinking, I did it. I caught the ball. But I have a bunch of drunk guys behind me which this is before the game has even started, and they're just wasted already. So I'm like, I should probably give this to them before they, like, get aggressive with me. So I gave the only ball I have ever caught, which I get. It wasn't intended for me, period. But if it was anyone else, but funny story. Those guys in the same game came up to the front row, and one of them dared their buddies to jump onto the field.
Oh gosh!
And he's like contemplating it, and like an inning and a half goes by, and he just, without saying anything, just jumps the wall, drops down, and all of us are like waiting to see him like run out. All of a sudden, he's climbing back up the wall and gets back into his seat. And during the break, all of a sudden we see the ushers rush over to our section of the outfield, and they're just watching and trying to see where he was. Well, apparently we look down, and it doesn't go straight to the field. I guess there's like another wall, and then there's like staircases and like a ramp behind the actual outfield wall. So he had dropped down there, and then would have had to climb up and then get down from another wall. But
my goodness.
it was hilarious just to see him
That's
drop
wild.
down and then jump back up. But
Like, wait, no, I don't want to do it anymore.
he's like, yeah, I had to jump another wall, so I said no. So like, oh, okay.
That's funny. So did security ever get him?
No, they just I don't know if they saw him or they just didn't care. But they're like, you thought about it, so we'll let you go. But
That's wild stuff. I guess as we're getting towards the end of our episode, though, we'll hit. We've got a couple points with MLB, and we'll I guess some quick hitters, bottom of the ninth type style. I don't know how do we want to do this. Like we get to this point, I feel like in each episode where it's like, all right, we're almost out of time. We got all this stuff left to talk about. How do we want to approach it?
let's take that top and save it for the bottom for the MLB. Let's take that top point and save it for last because I feel like that grabs a lot of attention. But
do we each just want to take like you can take point 2, I'll take point 3, and we'll just kind of go down just like one quick thought and then.
Yeah, here it is. This is the second point. Devers is 0 of 19 through the first 4 games.
Yep. I had to throw that in there. I'm sorry, but like I think it's notable. Like it's a notable.
It is
story
notable because, he signed an extension 2 years ago, I think, with the Red Sox, and there's all the talks we talked. I think we touched on it. I can't remember if it was last episode or 2 episodes ago, about how with Alex Bregman coming in, he's taking third base, bumping Devers to a DH position. I don't know if Devers is going to use that as leverage with Alex Correa and say like, hey, put me back on third, like I'm not performing well, I need to be out there. I wonder if he's I don't know, it's very strange to me because you would have thought he would have had at least one hit, at least made contact once, especially 15 strikeouts. Like
that's bad. That's got
it
be
is
the worst
very
start to a
bad
season ever.
So I wonder if he's just like the confidence is just shot with him moving to DH, even though I feel like it's almost like a compliment. Like, hey, in a way, any other I think the situation itself maybe isn't quite the compliment that it would be if they hadn't brought in Alex Bregman. Like, if they just said, hey, Rafi, we're going to move you to the DH spot. Like, we don't want you to, like, hurt yourself, like, playing in the outfield or infield. We'll just move you to DH. You've been hitting the ball well these past couple of years. Like, we'll just move you to DH, let you get those numbers up. I feel like with Alex Bregman coming in, they obviously had favoritism, and they think he's a better third baseman, which, I mean, so do I. But, I don't know. It's very interesting. That is, it is very strange to me, and what his mindset is. Hopefully he gets out of it, though, because we desperately need him, because we are 1-4, I think.
Hey, you signed Crochet to a 6-year, $170 million deal. I like that a lot. Crochet was kind of, I forget who I picked to win Cy Young, but he was up there.
I think you'd mentioned him, yeah.
I like him a lot. So that's at least some good news for your Red Sox.
There's some good. I mean, we won opening day again.
Yeah.
Too. So, I mean, there's that. But
I mean, your rookies are looking good, right? You have, who's the rookie playing second right now? Is it Campbell? Christian Campbell? Something like that?
I thought, yes, I think
whatever
you're
his
right.
name is, he's playing well. Roman Anthony, your top prospect.
Roman
right
Anthony's been playing very well, yes.
Hit 2 homers yesterday in their game. They still got Marcelo Mayer, so Red Sox are looking good. Other teams that are looking good right now, Yankees, Padres, and Dodgers, all 3 of them yet to lose a game. Kind of interesting like that. Those are the 3. Because, I mean, usually I feel like you see teams that are like, you know, hey, we're doing all right here, we're doing all right. Right? And it's like a random
like you'll
team
see,
that,
like the White Sox. They haven't lost a game this season. They're turning
like
a page.
The Rays.
Yeah.
Like the Rays, and it's like, oh yeah, but they played the White Sox to start. But it's like, no, the Yankees, Padres, and Dodgers played Tigers, Braves, and Brewers.
Yeah.
So it's like, holy cow. And those are the 3 teams that haven't won a game now, along with the Twins. Brewers, Twins, Tigers, Braves. Brewers and Twins lost already today. Tigers are up right now in Seattle, unless something big has changed. Last time I looked at the score. Yeah, top 9, Tigers are up 9-4. And Atlanta's going to lose again to the Dodgers 6-1. Bottom 8 right now. Holy cow, the Cubs are up 16-3 on the A's.
Jeez.
I really hope Justin Sterner still hasn't allowed a run at all this year, local BYU pitcher. I really hope that he's still. Okay, he hasn't pitched at all this game. But
I feel like that would not be good for.
One of the relievers for the A's, so their starting pitcher, 4 innings pitched, 9 hits, 6 earned runs, 4 walks, gave up 3 homers. And then brought in another guy, he gave up 2 runs, earned 4 in total. And the next guy they brought in, 4 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned runs, 3 walks. And it didn't work.
Yeah.
So tough for the A's right now. But
tough for the Sox. Come on, let's talk about a real team here. We don't need to talk
Sox, White Sox though were looking pretty good.
White Sox aren't looking bad.
They almost no-hit the Twins today. They were no-hitting them through 7 innings, or 6 2/3 inning. They played well against the Angels. I mean, the Angels aren't that good. Like I'll admit that. Like our offense struggled, but our pitching was really good. And the White Sox, they went off on our pitching in the first game. So White Sox are 2-2. Like I don't think they're going to have as bad of a year they were last year.
And I think we said that they're going to hit the over, but I don't think it was by much. Maybe it's going to be by more than we thought. But
yeah,
I mean,
I saw something like the odds of winning the AL Central. It was like Twins 240, Tigers 275, Guardians 280, Tigers like 290, White Sox 25,000.
Jeez, no faith at all.
Yeah. I was like, yeah,
it's like that.
Fair.
It's the Jake Retzloff meme where he's holding up the phone. That's what the White Sox are doing right now.
For real.
With a 2-2 record, but I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Last other couple hitters, real quick. Jurickson Profar suspended for 80 games for performance-enhancing drugs. That was kind of big news today.
That was big news. Yeah.
Sucks for the Braves. Already having a bad season, and Cunha doesn't get back until May, most likely, is what I'm reading. So things just not going right down there in Atlanta.
Which I'm not complaining. I don't really like the A's, the Braves that much. But
That's okay. The first MLB game I ever went to was Braves Angels, and it was Freddie Freeman's rookie year. I think I got to see.
Oh, really?
Dan Uggla, Freddie Freeman, and Chipper Jones all playing the same game.
Well, that's actually really cool.
Let me look. Now I'm curious.
I don't think I've ever seen the Braves play. This is like not in any way like a sponsor, because there's no way we'd have a sponsor right now. But there's an app called Memento. Have you heard of it? Mm-mm. It's like a scrapbook in a way on your phone, and it keeps tracks of all the games that you've been to, sporting events.
Oh, cool.
And then like you'll bring up the stats of players and the scores and the attendance and stuff. But that's how I'm able to see like what teams I've seen play at least. But yeah. I don't think I've ever seen the Braves play. Looking through this at least.
I don't remember the Angels winning this game. I remember Pinheiro pitched. I think it was this game. So the starting lineup for the Braves was Nate McLouth in center, Martin Prado, Chipper Jones, Brian McCann, Eric Kinski, Jason Hayward came in, Dan Uggla, Freddie Freeman, Eric Gonzalez, and Joe Mather. But, for the Angels, it wasn't bad either. Like, no Trout yet, because I don't think he'd come up yet. But you had Mycer Izturis, Eric Ibar, Bobby Abreu, Torrey Hunter, Alberto Callaspo, Hank Conger, Mark Trumbo, Alexi Amarista, and Peter Borges. So just like blast to the past for some games. Did Freeman hit a homer that game? No, he stole a base and grounded into a double play. Went 2 for 5. So,
not bad.
Yeah. Kind of cool to like look back on old games and be like, oh yeah, like I remember that.
Right.
Kimbrel got the save when he was with the Braves in 2011.
I remember my first MLB game was a Sox-Yankees game in Fenway, and that was like
that's a good first one.
That was my bucket list item for as long as I could remember. It was for my senior trip. It was my senior trip, so I was 18 or turning 18 or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it was 2018, a year removed from the World Series win. So I was 18 years old. We walk in, and they had just switched. Red Sox were batting, and we walk in, and the crowd just erupts. Mookie hits a home run. So I missed a Mookie home run. But then when we sit down, Mookie hit another one, and then hit a double. I think they won that game like 6-3 or something like that.
Dang.
But 10-5 was that game. It was even better. But that was one of the coolest moments in my sporting life. And it sucks too because I bought a Mookie jersey too that year, and then I think the next year is when they traded him. But anyway,
fun stuff though. All right, final topic: torpedo bats. Yankees went homer, 3 pitches off Nestor Cortez, which I thought was nuts. Poor Nestor Cortez.
Yeah, I didn't know who was pitching. Nestor Cortez.
Nestor
That's actually
Cortez.
insane.
First game back against the Yankees.
Jeez.
And then 15 homers this week. Judge hit 4 of them. They're named AL Player of the Week. But big news is the torpedo bat.
Well,
Thoughts?
didn't Aaron Judge hit like the most home runs he has ever hit in a game? In a single game?
Maybe.
In his career?
He hit 3. I think he's done that before, though.
Or maybe it was just tied. Let me see.
Yeah, it could have been
Because
tied.
I swear it was on... Let me see. Where was it? Regular season. Maybe it was in the 20-9. Judge hits 3 for Yankees, 9 homers. I think it was this one.
Okay, so in a game... Do I have this sorted by home run? Yeah, so
he had a hit career high 8 RBIs, which is
Okay.
also kind of crazy.
Yeah, so
I
he's
thought-
hit 3 homers 2 other times. Both in
Like
2023.
2 other times. Okay, but that's still crazy. I mean, what season is this for Judge?
This is season number... I want to say it's like...
I was gonna say
7 or
like
8.
7. Yeah. Let's see. Outfielders, Judge.
So drafted in 2013. He has played in the majors since
1, 2,
2016.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th year. Well, 9th year, 10th season.
Yeah, only 27 games though in 2016. So 1, 2,
True.
9 full seasons. Like that's insane. I'm looking at this. Besides,
He
the
only
COVID
played
season,
28 in 20. Oh well, COVID.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But
Like, whoa, what the?
he's played in 100 games at least every year.
Yeah.
Good for him for staying healthy.
Well, I
He's
mean,
about to-
hitting. Sorry,
He's about to
keep
play
going.
in his 1,000th career game. 4 games.
That's crazy.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, hitting 3 home runs is kind of crazy. Well, not crazy, but like impressive to do in a single game. For him to hit almost 1,000 and this only be his third too for such a prolific hitter as he is also insane and makes me dislike the freaking torpedo bat, which also makes you think.
So Judge
How has-
Judge isn't using the torpedo bat.
What I thought? Oh,
He's
Crit-
just using his normal bat.
then I swear there's a stat with the torpedo bat. Maybe it was Chisholm. Maybe then that he had
Chisholm,
tied
he's using him.
like the most home runs in a game that he's had. Well, he's only had 2 home runs this season though. I don't think it was in the same game.
Yeah, 2 homers in the same game.
Then maybe that was it. He tied his season best 2 home runs in a game with the torpedo bat, which it's like, one, how has no one thought about this? Like, oh, you put a bigger mass at the center where the ball's going to hit, and it's going to go farther. Wow, crazy. And I think Ellie De La Cruz today, he had, I think, 2 home runs, right?
2 homers, 7 ribbies.
2 homers, and I think his first one went like 350 or might even gotten close to 400. Like,
Dang.
which it's like...
I love this because like I love the analytics side of baseball. Like that's my jam.
Yeah.
There's a BYU grad who helped the Rangers like with some defensive analytic system, like helped them when they won their World Series. But yeah, I love this. Like I love that the bats aren't the same for each player. Like they look at the stats. Okay, where are you hitting the ball most? Instead of trying to barrel the ball, like we're just going to move the barrel to where you're hitting it, so you don't have to do any extra work. Like genius.
It's like with a couple of my buddies took wood shop in high school, and part of that class was making bats. And I mean, bats are they're not that heavy.
Yeah.
But one of my friends, he loves baseball just as much as we do, and he decided it'd be funny to just make like a solid bat, just solid wood. And so he did that, and when he had a little machine that just like pop up, and we'd crack at it. Those things just launch. Those just go to the moon. So it makes sense to put a more not dense, a more dense area of the bat.
More like centralized.
Yeah. It makes sense. I'm sure pitchers hate it. I'm sure there's going to be a strike with the MLB pitching.
Yeah.
Freaking.
It'll get brought up in the CBA when.
Oh yeah.
It's dealt with next year. I saw Buster only reporting like 90% chance there's probably going to be a lockout next year, which sucks.
Yeah.
Like baseball, like they're just so not aligned, which sucks for the sport. But
no, this has controversy. This has, like you said, lockouts written all over it. I mean, if this goes on throughout the rest of the season, we're gonna have the most home runs that we've seen in an MLB season. 100%.
I think the ball's juiced. Like I don't think it's
the balls. Yeah, that's
balls
already been proven. I think the balls have already been juiced the past couple seasons, which have spiked the number of home runs. This is gonna just add to it. Juiced balls plus freaking mega bats, which it's like that's what you want to see in a baseball game. Like if you're just an outsider, if you're Jim and his wife and 3 kids that want to go to a baseball game for the first time, you don't want to sit. I mean, they put the clock up to speed the game up, which helped with also the normies. So if you're just the average fan that just wants to have an exciting game and MLB doesn't want to hear you complain about how this isn't freaking the NFL or this isn't college basketball, then yeah, this is exactly what they want. They want more runs. They want more home runs. But for the more the fans with more taste, I guess.
Yeah,
like us,
nostalgia.
who enjoy the game for the game.
Yeah.
This isn't what you want. I mean, I like the clock personally. I like that because I don't.
Games are going
I didn't enjoy a 4-hour baseball game.
No.
And a 2.5-hour game is much more enjoyable. And when I take my wife to games now, it's not agonizing and complains left and right. But no, this from the entertainment point is great, but from the game standpoint, bad.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun though. Get people talking about the game. I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it throughout the season. We'll see what happens.
Heck, maybe get Devers one of these bats. Then maybe he can freaking get a hit. Come on.
They look weird though.
They do look weird.
They look so weird.
I thought it was Photoshop for a second. I was like, why did someone do that to the bat? That just looks really dumb. That looks like one of the big plastic bats that you'd have as a kid with a huge barrel. Yeah. That's what it looked like.
There's an article on MLB.com you'll have to check out. They go through the history of bats. It's actually kind of funny. There's some funny stuff on there. But yeah, that's all we had to talk about here on the SBSP today. But I don't know, anything else before we sign off and say see you later?
No, all I'm gonna say is let me see. When did the Red Sox play? I think they're in a series with the Orioles right now, so they'll play. Do they play tomorrow? I think they might have a break. They might play on the 2nd next. Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. Well, if by Thursday or Friday or whenever we record, we'll probably record Wednesday. If by Friday Devers does not have a hit, you will not see me in this seat. So it'll just be the Cam show. He'll bring in someone else because I'll be dead, and I will denounce my relation to the Red Sox. So
sounds good. Goes.